Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Happy Halloween. Yes, it is Halloween. This spooky day. Yeah, well, my life for 30 years, 30 to 40 years was real spooky too. Not necessarily ghouls and goblins, but I had ghouls, human ghouls that I didn't like or didn't want to be around. Didn't like. I didn't. I didn't like having to have sex with multiple men at different times. I didn't want that. I didn't ask for that. That was something that my husband wanted. And I did it out of preservation to ensure that I would live. Like I said, said before in previous vlogs, that each step of the way he would threaten. At first, he would threaten to take my children away. He would threaten to take me away from my children permanently, not temporary, permanently. So I had to do what I felt I needed to do to protect me and to protect my children. Because last thing I wanted was any damage done to my children. Hurt me all you want. I can get away from that. But when you threaten to harm my children, then I will do everything I can to prevent that from happening. So to prevent any harm to be done to my children, I screwed other guys. I didn't want to, but I did it to keep us together as a family. And then once my children were gone and off doing their own thing, he then proceeded to threaten me with taking away insurance, taking away monetarily things. Unfortunately, at the time, I was very much into the pretties. He'd buy me earrings, jewelry, anything I wanted. He'd buy it. But if I wanted something like that, I had to do what he wanted me to do. So I was a kept woman. I didn't like it. I wanted to be just a loving wife and husband. But I sometimes think he didn't know the meaning of love. Just a second. I got a doggy issue here. I gotta check this out. What's the deal? Oh, I see what's under there. It's a push pin, and you can't have that. That could hurt you, Snickers. Is there anything else? No. And that's where it came from. So we'll put it right there. There, Mommy fixed it. It's okay. She's such a concerned dog. She gets concerned about any little thing that might be out of place. I don't know why she gets like that, but she does. It's okay. She's always sniffing around. It's probably the Rhodesian Ridgeback in her. She's always sniffing and wanting to be sure every little thing is in its place. She's so funny. Such a good dog. Yeah. Yeah, and if the computer moves, it's her big butt getting in the way. Come here. Yeah, you're a good girl. But anyway, okay, so after Bo went off to school and things started happening a little bit more often than I wanted or thought was needed, he would try to come up with some creative ways and places for me to have sex with these guys when we were in Maryland. I hated it. I hated it. Because, you go to work. How was your night? Oh, I fucked a guy. Oh, I sucked some guy off. Yeah, I'm going to tell people that I did that. Not. Because that was not my thing. It was his. So, one weekend he decides that in Pennsylvania there is this Hedo Club, which Hedo is basically like a place you go to have orgies, for lack of a better. They have different rooms, different settings to do for role play. So he sent me up there. He had registered me online and paid for me to show up. Single woman. So I could investigate the place. Yeah. Went in, sat at the bar, had a couple of drinks, a couple of beers, talked to some people about the place, did a tour of the place. And I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. This may be for him, but it's not going to be for me, but we'll make up a story for him anyway. So I did. I made up a story. I told him that, and I probably shouldn't have, because it made his imagination go even more whack, but I told him that I went into one of the rooms that was a cage. No, I went into the OBGYN room, and it had the woman on a table and feet in the stirrups, and they just come one right after the other. Plugger. So I told him about that. And he just thought that was just wait. He couldn't wait to get, because you can't take pictures. You have to leave your cell phone in the car. You can't take it in with you. So he'd have to eventually go with. I was never going to go again by myself, and I never did. The last time we went, he put me in jail. And what that included was a bed, a gurney table with stirrups, and a cage, like a cell cage, all the way around. Well, what this motherfucker did was had guys line up around the cage. 20 of them. One time I had 3 of them I had 4 on me at once. Imagine that. And it's a wonder I can ever smile again. But I do. Because I know that life is over. But that was just one excursion. So we went to the jail room, we went to the GYN room, and I have yet to have sex with my husband. Yeah. And no condoms were used. Because everybody in that place is supposed to be sexually clean. Do you always tell the truth about things like that? I'm us girls would. But the guys, they hide that shit. They hide it well. I am so glad to be out of that life. It was not a life for anyone. But okay, so we got through that. Another episode. Neighbors to our north were selling their house, had put their house up for sale. And we had a key to the house because we were helping to maintain the backyard, the yard work, and keep the place neat and clean until the new people were to move in. And so he decides that he had this guy coming over. He didn't want to give him our address, so he gave him the neighbor's address. And the guy met us in the backyard. And we went in. He sat down on the stairs, and I sucked his cock. With Martin sitting there, taking pictures. Another time, he set up an appointment in Hagerstown. And we drove over there. And we did it. Again. It was just to have sex with the other guy. I would have probably not been so adamantly opposed to it if it had continually stayed the way it was when we were in Rochester and it was a threesome. I probably could have handled that at that time. But it wasn't. It was always me having sex with somebody else. It was never my husband joining in. Unless you want to consider his critiquing of my fucking or sucking while we're doing it. You know, that really, I'm sure that really helped the guy out too, right? Being directed on what to do with his cock. But that's the way he was. That's what he did. That was his enjoyment of life, of me. He didn't care that I didn't want to do it. Oh, it'd be good for our sex life. It'll keep us going, keep us jumping. Whoops, sorry, Snickers, didn't mean to kick you. But that was the last thing I needed to keep it. I was in my 60s, late 50s, early 60s when this all started. I didn't need that. Yes, I know there's some women my age that are very sexually active. That could be because they weren't when they were younger. I was when I needed to be. I don't need to be. I ain't having no more kids. I don't need to be. He needed to be. I wish that swelling would go down. I'm going to have to put my K2 on that. Get that swelling to go down. But I didn't need it. And I don't understand why he thought he needed it. You know, it just doesn't make sense. Why on earth does God give man the desires, the abilities to have sex into their 90s? It doesn't make sense. God, why? We don't need more people on this earth. We don't need them. In fact, we need less. So you need to work on, God. You need to work on cutting down on the men libido. Keep the libido down. You did it on the women. You did on us right. Because once we're past childbearing age, why do we want it? It really ain't that much fun. I know some women think it is, and that's fine for them. They can think it's fun. I don't. And there are others that don't. We do it because, well, when we were young, yeah, it felt good. It was fun. Babies were made that way. That was, like I said, it was fun. It was a fun thing to do. But, dear God, you need to cut the men's off at a certain time. I know you try with the prostate, but that ain't working. Because some of these men have brains up here, and they want to put it down there. And so they've made pills that make down there work. And but it really shouldn't be working. Doesn't need to be working. You know, it's past its prime at that point. So chill out. Leave it alone. Absolutely. That's my thoughts. You know, sex is good, but it isn't for everybody. It isn't everything. Yeah, I like this look on Halloween. Ooh. But the sun I'm going to have to just close the blinds. Be right back in a second. Oh yeah, that's better. That's much better. Got a little spot here, but that's okay. I can handle those little spots. But yeah, I know some of us women have um, we all have different sex drives. Some women have very good sex drives, and I did. I had a wonderful active sex drive when I was younger. When I was in my teens to late 30s, I had a good sex drive. But after the last one was born and the tubes were tied, and caring for the family and cooking, cleaning, and all the stuff that goes into a family dynamic, keeping it happy and healthy. Yeah, I did not feel like I had time for all that and keep my sanity. And so, we put together a schedule, and every Wednesday or Thursday, because it would depend on football, okay? If there was a Thursday football game, it was on a Wednesday. If there was not a Thursday football game, we had sex on Thursday. And I say sex, when we first got married, we made love. We loved on each other. We kissed and just everything, We made love. But after that, after kids, no, we scheduled it. It was just sex. There was no love involved. I tried to encourage, include love in our sex. But he was more of like, okay, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I wanted to include hugging, kissing, cuddling, just loving on each other and just making everything feel good. But he was more like, get it done, get it over with. And then I'd not be satisfied. He would be. He'd lay over there. I'd have to pull out my toy. Which I'm kind of embarrassed to say. I mean, I've been kind of thinking about getting me a new toy. I got rid of all my toys. I don't know why. Why did I do that? I don't know why I did that, because I know how expensive those suckers can be. And I pay a lot of money for those things. I should have just hung on to them and just saved them for whenever life hit me. And I'll have to check my bottom drawer to be sure I didn't hide one in there. I've tried using other things like, that you use for muscle. Yeah, it just doesn't hit the right spot. And I just, I know exactly what I need to get. Yeah, I need to get a bullet. I can sit right here, be talking to you folks, and be rubbing one out. Nah, I couldn't do that to you. Could not do that to you. That'd be like going back to what I was doing before. Not going to do that. Nope, not going there. We're going to stay here and be very happy and very kind. We're going to be very social. And again, like I said, if you all have any comments, please, I'd love to hear your comments on what I'm talking about. What do you think? What might you have done that would be different? If I did something, would you have done differently? That's how we learn. We learn from each other. So if you would have done things differently than I did, then let me know, because I would love to hear what you have to say. I would love to hear your thoughts on what I've been doing and how I have been growing. I know right now what you're hearing is my story. You haven't heard my growth yet, but that will be coming. And trust me, the growth has been very, very taxing, exhausting, but well worth it. Because let me tell you, even a year ago, even though this event, the divorce, started October 8th, that first year, I was a basket case. I was just going through the motions of the divorce. I wasn't working on me. I was working on my divorce. I was working on being scammed too. And that's what we're going to talk about the next, is the scams that found me and that I got pulled into. And I want you to learn from them. Please. Number one, I'm going to end today with my first scam. Okay? And I want you to remember this. I had never, ever heard of anything like this before. I got a call from Social Security that somebody had hacked my Social Security number and was using it in another country. So I'm like, well, what do I need to do? Do I need to change my Social Security number? How can we get this person? And I'm thinking that I'm speaking to a gentleman from Social Security. He gives me his badge number and everything, and I go onto Google, check out Social Security, badge number, and it comes up with this person's name. Okay, I'm talking to a legitimate IRS person, Social Security person. Okay? So he tells me to go to Walgreens and get a certain amount of money, $1,000 gift card, Apple gift card. Okay, this is somebody from IRS telling me to do this. I looked up his badge number. It's legit. I think. I do the only research that I know how to do. No, and come to find out, after $4,000 and checking account being closed, I did get the money back, but it was all a scam. So, remember, IRS, Social Security, OPM, any of the federal agencies out there that are Treasury, they will not call you ever, ever. They will send you something in the mail with a specific code and ask you to call them. So IRS, Social Security, any government entity will not call. They will send you a snail mail or maybe even an email. But generally it's going to be a snail mail through the mail service. Remember that. And remember, peace and love. And happy Halloween, my pretties!